And in Mark, the 29th chapter, in Mark, the 9th chapter, verse 29, we read, let's start with verse 28. And when he was coming to the house, the blind men. Okay, that's the men of the story of the blind men. Let's go down to verse number 30, 31, 32. Actually, no, we're not going to read that because that's the same story we already read. It's just a different version of it. We already read that in Matthew. Let's go to. Let's start talking about. We see how God's healing power is available. Now, let's look at what happens to a person. Say once they are healed, once they are delivered. Let's go to John, the 5th chapter. Okay, in John, the 5th chapter, and let's start with verse number 1. And I'm going to read from the Amplified version to make it clearer for our understanding. John 5th chapter, verse 1. Later on, there was a Jewish festival for which Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem a pool near the sheep gate. This pool in the Hebrew is called Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great number of sick folks, some blind, some crippled, and some paralyzed, waiting for the bubbling of the water. For an angel of the Lord went down at appointed seasons into the pool and moved and stirred up the water. Whoever then first, after the stirring of the water, stepped in, was cured of whatever disease with which he was afflicted. Verse 5, there was a certain man there who had suffered with a deep-seated and lingering disorder for 38 years. When Jesus noticed him lying there helpless, knowing that he had already been a long time in that condition, he said to him, "Do you want to become well? Are you really in earnest about getting well?" Verse 7, the invalid answered, "Sir, I have nobody when the water is moving to put me into the pool. But while I am trying to come into it myself, somebody else steps down ahead of me." Because only the first person who stepped in after the angel stirred the water was healed at that particular time. So, verse 8, Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your bed, and walk." Instantly the man became well and recovered his strength and picked up his bed and walked. And that happened on the Sabbath day. So, now, this is what happens. Now after you get healed, okay, this is what God says to people. Let's go down to verse number 13. Now the invalid who had been healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had quietly gone away, had passed on unnoticed, since there was a crowd in the place. And verse 14, afterward, when Jesus found him in the temple, he said to him, "See, you are well. Stop sinning, or something worse may happen to you." The man went away and told the Jews that it was Jesus who made him well. Now, notice what Jesus said to the man. Stop sinning, or something worse may happen to you. Okay, if you are caught up in drug addiction or whatever, and you go and get cleaned up and get delivered, don't let the devil, the devil's going to come and try to tempt you to go back to that, drinking, have another drink, have another, use some more, pop some more pills, or sniff some more cocaine. The devil is going to try to get you to smoke another joint. But guess what? You can resist the devil in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, and he will flee from you. Okay? Because if you keep on sinning, the Lord said something worse might happen to you. If you look at the recent cases of Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Amy Winehouse, Anna Nicole Smith, Marilyn Monroe, they got cut off. The devil took them out early in life. And it was always in a situation involving drugs and alcohol, sin, and the result of sin was the reason why they died. So at such an early age. That's not the will of God. Let's look at Matthew. Let's look at what happens when a person gets delivered. Say like God delivers you. Somebody prays for you. A man of faith prays for you. Or you go to God yourself and you get he delivers you and heals you. Let's go to Matthew, the 12th chapter. Matthew, the 12th chapter. Bear with me. I'm trying to find it right now. Matthew, the 12th chapter. And verse number... Read along with me. Let's go to verse number 38. And I'm going to read from the Amplified Bible because it just makes it so much clearer for our understanding. Matthew, the 12th chapter, verse 38. Then some of the scribes and Pharisees said to him, Teacher, wait a minute. Okay, yeah. Teacher, we desire to see a sign or a miracle from you, proving that you are what you claim to be. But he replied to them, an evil and an adulterous generation, a generation morally unfaithful to God, seeks and demands a sign, but no sign shall be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For even as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the sea monster, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh will stand up at the judgment with this generation and condemn it, for they repented at the preaching of Jonah. And behold, someone more and greater than Jonah is here. Now, we go to verse number 43. Matthew, the 12th chapter. We're still in Matthew, the 12th chapter, verse number 43. But when the unclean spirit has gone out of a man, it roams through dry, arid places in search of rest, but it does not find any. Then it says, I will go back to my house from which I came out. And when it arrives, it finds the place unoccupied, swept, put in order, and decorated. Then it goes and brings with it 7 other spirits, more wicked than itself. And they go in and make their home there. And the last condition of that man or woman becomes worse than the first. So also shall it be with this wicked generation. So we see what happens when a person keeps playing the devil's game, ducking in and ducking out, dibbling and dabbling with drugs and alcohol. And going in and out of rehab, you're going to end up with something worse than what you had when you first started. And something worse will happen to you.